Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. So guys, what I was going to talk to y'all about today was otters. And a couple of sets that I put in for otter. Now I'm going to tell you right now, there's not an otter set out there that I know of that will not take incidental raccoon, incidental muskrats, or incidental mink. And I've even taken fox and coyote in these sets, in the water. So, let's just throw all that out there right now. If you put a set in for otter, you have a chance of taking all the other stuff, and even beaver too. So, beaver and otters kind of go hand in hand. So, I just want to throw that out there right now. Before we get too far into this, let's kind of look at some of the traps that I like to use for otters. So, give me just a minute here, and we'll be right there. All right, guys. So, my all-time favorite otter trap is the number 11. Now, this happens to be a Duke number 11. My favorite, as you guys know, is the Sleepy Creek number 11, but you can't find them anymore. They're not making them, and when you do find them, they want an astronomical price for them. I like the little Duke number 11 just fine. The only thing is that I would recommend, and I've spoke with Bill Duke about this, you need to base plate these, guys, because the base plate is really weak in these, and the springs are way strong, and the base plates are real weak. So when you go to set these, there's a trick to it, and you want to pick up. You can see that just a little bit. You pick up on the back of that spring, and then you push straight down. Okay, I don't know how well that's going to show up. Let me get these other traps out of my hands here right quick. But you push straight down so that there's a lot of guys want to crank on them springs like you do on a double on or on a double coil. And what that does, guys, is that creates drag between the spring eye and the jaw, and you'll never get it set right. You're going to struggle. And what you're going to end up doing is bowing this base plate and popping the jaws out of it. So you need to strengthen this base plate and then learn how to set these things the right way. And like I said, it's just easy. You just push straight down, both sides. Get over that. There we go. Straight down so that you're not getting that drag, that resistance on the spring eye and the side of the jaw. And then you can set them just fine. So anyway, these are my absolute all-time favorite otter traps. They will hold an otter plumb well. They will hold every coon that gets in there. They'll hold every mink, every muskrat. Yeah, I've held beaver in them. I've held coyotes. I've held bobcats. I'm telling you guys, these little traps are a powerhouse, and they work plumb fine, plumb adequate on otters. Now, I know a lot of guys are going to think that's way too small of a jaw spread because you've only got a 4-inch jaw spread. He puts that foot in there, he's going to be there. So that's just enough of that right there with the 11. My other favorite, and especially now that they fixed them. Okay, so as y'all know, I was a huge Bridger number 3 doggone fan. Well, I got word that they discontinued making that trap, and the only thing they've left us with is that piece of crap dogless that I just absolutely don't like at all. I like a dogless trap. I just don't like the Bridger dogless. There's just too many flaws there. It's just not a very good trap in my opinion. But they've changed these number 4s. The Dukes changed these traps. Get that mud off there. By golly, we got a little rain today. I'm sure thankful for that. So the biggest thing that they've done is they've narrowed this up in here to get that lever up higher, closer to the corner of the jaw where it belongs. Okay, so you've got a way superior holding power here. The other thing they've done, and you can't really tell it, but they've changed the springs in them. Now instead of having all the power down at the bottom of the spring, they've got a pretty good holding power up here at the top now too. That's a way better deal than what it ever was before. I mean, it's a really well-built trap now. Base plated, center swiveled, for the money, you can't beat that Duke number 4. Now, I've used them before in the past and got along fine with them. There was just some flaws in them. Well, they went to work on them and made them a way better trap than what they were before. And the other one that everybody tends to like and use a lot, I personally don't use very many of them at all, and that is the 1.5 coil spring. You can plumb hold an otter in them just fine when they're brand new. You know, a couple, 3 years, you might want to think about replacing the springs. And if it were me and I were going to replace the springs, I would put number 2 music wire springs in here if it were me. Like I said, there's been a lot of otters caught in these and they held just fine. It's just not my first pick. So with that kind of being said, let's jump off into this deal. Okay, and the one thing I wanted to add to this too, guys, is that I don't drown any of my animals ever intentionally. Okay, everything's staked down right there at the set. Okay, and the biggest reason I don't drown them is you've got a live decoy there. And man, there's not a better attractor in the world than a live animal tied up right there to bring other animals to you. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Now, if you have to drown them for some reason, then I understand that, and by all means, that's what you have to do. But boys, if you don't have to, man, you can't get a better decoy or a better attractant than another live animal tied up right there. So that's something you might want to keep in mind. All right, guys, so we're doing this on dry ground so that y'all can see what I'm doing, and another reason is too because I don't have any water. I mean, even though we got 3/4 of an inch of rain, you can still see the dry dirt around. So we need a lot more than what we got. Thankful for what we got, but we need a lot more. So one of my favorite otter sets to use is a double pocket set. Now, there's several different ways that you can do these. I mean, these are down, we're going to say the water levels in here, you know, so we're down pretty low. My personal pick, if I can do it, is to get them up. I want them up there, anywhere between 8 to 12 inches up out of the water. I like them about a foot to 16 inches apart. These are, probably close to 10, 12 inches apart. The pockets are. Now, one thing you're going to notice about otter are a creature of habit. Okay, if he done something once, you can bet he's going to do it again. Okay, he's going to continue. They're just a creature of habit. That's just the way they are. So what I do is I'll dig these 2 pockets like this, and what I might do is put some otter vomit or some scat in one of them. Put a big chunk of fish over in the other. Another thing I might do is put some otter vomit or some scat in one, and I might put a good lure like for instance, say my Longliner's Pal, Thunderstruck, Water Boy, something of that sort in there. Or maybe you put a piece of fish in this one and a big piece of fish in this one too. With maybe a little lure snuck up here between them. Because here's what's going to happen. The trap is going to go, I'll show you the position of the trap. Let me get this 11 set here again. The position of the trap is going to be right here like this. All right? It's going to be right there between the 2 pockets. It's not in front of one or the other. It's right between them. Because he's going to bounce back and forth between the 2 pockets. Okay? By putting the trap this way, between the 2, I find that I have less incidental coon catches that way. All right? And to me, I mean, no, I'm there to take whatever fur comes along, but if I can have the set operational when the otter comes through, so much the better. So he's going to bounce between those 2 pockets. As long as you've got something in there that he wants, he'll stay right there. This works a whole lot better for me than it does, say, putting the trap in front of one pocket or the other. Put it between the 2 of them, and I feel like I have better success that way. Now, you can use whatever trap you want to use. You can use the 11, the 1.5, you can use the number 4, you can even go jump up to the number 5 if you wanted to, or the 850, it wouldn't matter. 750, I mean, from Bridger, or from MB, if that's what you choose to use. My personal opinion, they're more of a decoy weight or a boat anchor, but that's everybody to their own. Anyway, that's the basic pocket set that I use for otter. Now we'll reposition the camera here, and I will show you another set that I use. Okay guys, here's another set that I like to use. This is called a slick up set. And when you find these shallower, flat tapering banks, these sets work really well. You take your hand or your foot and you slick that up and you shine it up really good. And then you take a stick or a piece of rebar or driver, whatever you might have, and you punch 4 or 5 or 6 up to 10, 12 holes, however many you want there. And you would take that big number 4 or number 3, something, or even a number 2, something of that sort. I don't like to use the number 11 here at this type of set because it's not quite big enough. You don't own as much real estate. And that's kind of important with this set. Anyway, you would set that trap here. And you would put shellfish oil in one, and fish oil in another, and a good lure in another, and some otter vomit or scat in another one. A multitude of smells, okay? Now, he's going to come up here fishing every one of them holes. And he's going to drop a foot in that trap. If you've got enough pan tension there, which I like to run about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of pan tension on an otter set, specific. You know, I'm not saying that won't catch coon or won't catch the mink or something of that sort, because it sure enough will. But it does seem to help a little bit by adding a little pan tension. He'll come up here fishing, and he's tromping around a lot. And the more steps he takes, of course, the more in trouble he's getting. This set really shows up nice. It really shines up nice on those flat tapering type of bank. And again, you'll catch everything here. You'll catch coon, mink, rats, otters, beavers, fox, coyote. Doesn't really matter. You will catch them in this set. Doesn't hurt if you want to, even to lay a little otter vomit or a little otter scat up there on the bank ahead of it somewhere. Doesn't hurt a thing. But the biggest thing is getting plenty of smells there, plenty of eye appeal to make that otter commit and work that set. All right, guys, the other thing with otter is just having your sets operational when the otters come through. I treat otter the same way I treat coyotes. I can pick the place, they pick the time. You never know when that otter's going to come back through. In 2003, I worked for the state of Missouri on their otter research project. We were catching them in number 11s alive, taking them out of the traps alive, and taking them to a vet, and they would do a little surgery on them, and they would put a radio transmitter up inside the body cavity behind the last rib. And we were doing telemetry studies on them, tracking them. In 3 weeks' time, I had one young male otter go 100 miles from where I had originally caught him. He just went from pond to pond to pond to pond and just kept moving. So the thing, and I have guys argue this with me all the time, and I don't know why it's so hard to understand. Otter are not a true water animal, okay? They are a land animal that frequent the water, just like a mink, just like a raccoon. You know, a true water animal would be your beaver, your muskrat, your nutria. Those are true water animals. The others are land animals that frequent the water. And that's not, I mean, it's not that far of a stretch to figure that out, I wouldn't think. But boy, I sure get argued with a lot over that. So yeah, you can, you know, and we'll go into this further on in some other videos. There's some sets that you can use on dry ground to catch otters just fine. But right now we're concentrating on water type of sets. And the biggest thing is, like I said, is keeping those sets operational while you're waiting on the otter to return. You've got an animal that take anywhere from 3 weeks to a month, month and a half before he makes his circuit back around. The other thing is, make sure you've got plenty of sets in that area, okay? Not just for the otter, but for the incidentals too. But the thing about otter is, you know, they stay in a family group for quite a long time. The old buck and the old sow come through, and they might have 3 or 4 kids in tow with them. So you want to make sure that you've got enough sets in the area to catch the otter that it come through. So that's, you know, that's a big thing too. Guys, I know this was kind of a quick little deal, but I think there was a lot of information in here for you. If you haven't yet already, if you would please hit that subscribe button for me. Hit that thumbs up and that notification bell. It means so much to me. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate them all as well. And until next time, guys, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.